So we all know that things are unaffordable right now, right? Gas, groceries, housing, everything, right? Everything is expensive. People barely can afford to breathe, right? But I'm more interested, we all know that, but I'm more interested in why people think inflation is the way it is, right? Because people have a variety of reasons of why things are more expensive, or some people just have no idea. They're just like, yo, I know things today are more expensive than they were a year ago, right? So it's just interesting to hear people's reasons for why things are, and some are right, some are wrong, but it's just very interesting. So one video I got that we're gonna listen to is we're gonna watch is he talks about how things are more expensive now. He talks about inflation. He gives a little reason why, and then the second video is gonna be a little more lighthearted. It's gonna be a little bit more fun, just a little jokey joke. So let's start with the first video.
The salary you need to make today to live like your parents did 40 years ago, making $30K a year, is totally depressing. In a TikTok video, financial expert Robert Gill explained that, adjusted for inflation, please sit down and have your emotional support person on standby before proceeding, you'd have to make $162,342 to have the same purchasing power. Now, it's important to understand that inflation isn't just the prices of things going up. It's also the broader price increases across sectors, industries, and ultimately an entire country's economy in general. So it's not just that, say, housing prices are up since 1983. A dollar is actually worth less than it was previously. This is why we're all feeling the pinch, and also why our parents don't seem to get it. Boomers telling us to work harder isn't going to suddenly make our dollars worth more, which led several commenters to ask Gil the question probably on everyone's mind. Does inflation ever really go down? His response, it hasn't in the last 40 years. And this of course means that as the value of our money continues to decrease, the amount of money needed to live a stable life will continue to increase. And unless we do something, like say reining in corporate power by having reasonable corporate tax rates like the ones we had even during the beloved Reagan era, for instance, a comfortable life on a normal salary will become more and more unattainable to us average folks.
So yeah, so a lot of things he said, some are true and some are I'll get into it. But he talks about, obviously, when it comes to, work, parents saying you got to work harder. I agree with that in a sense, but reality is that's not going to work anymore. You got to work a little bit smarter. Like, you need to understand that your job is not enough to do this, like keep up with this, what's going on, right? Like, you need to figure out other ways to create income, right? As long as you got your obviously your expenses managed, you got your money management. If you're someone that's spending, below your means, then it's an income. You gotta figure out to increase your income, and you gotta find different ways, whether it's starting a business, doing a side hustle, or you gotta just be very cautious with how you spend. So yeah, just working hard, all I agree, but it's just not enough anymore. You gotta find different ways to increase your income, because your job alone is not enough. And if you're someone that has a pretty good income, then it is just really about managing your expenses. Now, what I do disagree with him about is how he talks about the corporate taxes, right? The corporate taxes, like the corporate tax rate that we have right now has nothing to do with inflation, right? I know he goes at it and says, like, in order to live a decent life, we have to rein in corporate tax, but it's not the solution to inflation. When it comes to inflation, it's a supply and demand issue, right? We have too much demand and not enough supply, and a big reason for that is like government, right? Government manipulates our interest rates, they manipulate the money supply, and they create this inflation, this imbalance when it comes to money. Because you have to really understand that the way they manipulate money, the interest rates, and they create this supply of money. What they're doing is they're creating this demand for money, and people are going to buy that. That's going to inflate a lot of the products and the products and services that you buy. Another thing is, and people are probably not going to agree with this, that's also contributing to inflation, is also minimum wage, right? Everyone's fighting for increasing minimum wage, and I get it, man. People have to make a living, but you need to understand that when you fight for this increase of minimum wage, all you're doing essentially is increasing the goods and products sold around your community, right? If you're fighting for McDonald's workers, restaurant workers that get minimum wage of $15, $20, me as a business owner, all I'm going to do is like, all right, if I got to pay $20 for my employees, and labor being the largest expense in any business, I'm going to have to find a way to make up that difference in my profit margin, right? So I'm going to have to increase the prices of the goods and services that I sell. So for a lot of people, they're like, oh, yo, why are these McDonald's burger costing like $18? I'm not sure if that was in California or not. The reason is that it's because labor's costs are going up, and as a business, you're going to figure out how to get that profit margin. So you got to increase the products of that good that you're selling. So a burger is going to increase for whatever percentage that they're increasing it by that amount. So you need to understand that the manipulation of money you know, interest rates by the government. Then you talk about how you're increasing minimum wage. It's contributing to inflation. And if you got to think about it this way, right? Like think about like iPhone 15, right? Let's say iPhone 15, right? That's, I think, perhaps the latest iPhone, right? Imagine an iPhone 15 costing like $1, right? How many people do you think would be able to buy that iPhone 15, right? Everyone be going out the door just to get that iPhone 15 for $1. But there'll be a problem because there wouldn't be enough supply. Apple wouldn't be able to keep up with the demand. So they're gonna be like, all right, so you know what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to raise the price, because right now demand is so high and we can't keep up with supply. We can't keep up with that demand, so we don't have enough supply. So they'll raise it to $100, right? Then, you know, probably lessen it, but not by that much, right? People will still be buying that thing for $100. So what they will do is then increase it to $1,000 so they can get that balance, right? So then the demand decreases and the supply, you know, evens out, and then they found their price point. So they can find that price point whether they're moving it up to $1,000 or $1,500. So when you have, you know, manipulation of money, you have so much demand, it's going to drive the prices of goods and services, and that's why inflation. So when he talks about corporate income taxes, that's like whatever the corporate income tax has nothing to do with inflation, right? Like that's not going to help whether you put it 50%. 100%, whatever. That's not going to tame inflation. And when it comes to these jobs, like I said, you have to find a way to increase your income, because it's impossible the way that, you know, government manipulates the money. It's just hard for your job alone to just keep up with that type of manipulation. So you got to figure out a way to just either start a business, or, you know, increase or get a side hustle, or just maintain your expenses, keep it low, because that's the only way right now that you can fight this inflation, because things are just way too ridiculously affordable. And you have to find ways of fighting that. So hopefully that wasn't too much, because I know when it comes to economics, it's really hard to really explain that. But I hope I did the best I can with that one. So let's go to the next video. It's a little bit more lighthearted and a little bit more fun.
Welcome to McDonald's. What can I get started for you today?
Yeah, can I just get a cheeseburger?
Okay, is that going to be offered today?
Yeah, it's going to be offered today.
Alright, it's going to be $378.19.
Well, actually, I don't need the cheese. You can take the cheese off.
No cheese?
Yeah, let's do no cheese. No cheese.
Alright, that brings your total down to $312.17.
That sounds better. That sounds better.
Alright, and are you going to be paying in full, or will you be financing?
Yeah, I'll be financing today.
Okay.
Let's do the finance.
Alright, and after interest, your total will be $61 a month for 6 months.
Alright.
Yeah, it's funny because, like, yeah, it's gonna get to a point where we're financing like food, right? And yeah, they might even put it on these payday loans, or you know, the pay now by later options. So it gets to a point where you're gonna have to finance your food and everything you buy, and that it's a little funny because, I mean, you know, 20% inflation in 2090. I mean, who knows? I doubt that would happen, but it's just funny to even think about that. It gets to a point where you're financing your fast food, and it's just funny because it's just to imagine that is just like, you know, like, all right, like everything you buy, like whether you're getting some water, whether your air you breathe, you got to finance the air you breathe. It's just getting to a point where, like, if inflation continues the way it is, it's just you're not going to be able to afford anything. You're going to have to resort to financing, right? Imagine McDonald's like, yo, we need your credit score and everything, just make sure that you can qualify that you're going to make these payments on this burger that you bought. So yeah, that's all I got to you guys. That's all I got for you guys today. If you got any comments or questions, please make sure to leave it down below. Hit the like button and share. And if you haven't done so, make sure to subscribe. All right, so you guys take care and have a good one. Later.